The year's 2012 and Ligue 1 has just seen its 5th different title winner in 5 years, after a string of Lyon dominance. Lyon won their final title alongside Ligue 1 crowns for Marseille, Lille and Montpellier. Angers, Saint-Etienne and Nancy even looked like they could win titles during this time. The final club that won a title during that era? Bordeaux. Home to Johan Gourcuff, Anthony Modeste, Marouane Chamakh and therefore I assume 4 metric tons of hair gel. Fast forward to 2024 though, and Ligue 1 has been won by Paris Saint-Germain all but 2 times. There's barely even a deal to show the league on television. Bordeaux are about to go out of business and many other of France's giants have fallen. French football is on the verge of death. It's not on the verge, actually. It's in ICU and all the doctors have gone on their lunch break, leaving it unattended. The reason, though, for all of this drama? High cholesterol level because of the McDonald's sponsorship. Now, I'm just joking. There's actually many reasons. But first of all, let's go through what's gone down. And what's gone down is, well, most of the country's big football clubs. In a similar trend to German football, like a lot of teams that have either won titles very recently or have won them a few decades ago find themselves in the 2nd division these days. Teams like Nantes, Angers, Metz, Lens for a while, Toulouse too have become yo-yo clubs. Saint-Etienne are just not even in Ligue 1 at all. And 10 times winners Bordeaux, well, they'll be playing 5-a-side next season. They're so low down the pyramid now. After a huge financial crisis, the 2008 champions were forcibly relegated from Ligue 2 at the end of last season. But they had the professional license taken away, which means they're going to fall even further. The full future is kind of a little bit unknown. But it's basically like, I don't know, Manchester City turning up in the Panorama National League next season. Well, in fairness, imagine Haaland bagging 47 goals versus Gloucester City. Jack Grealish after seeing how cheap drinks are in Harrogate. I don't even know where Harrogate is. I'm gonna be so real. But let's go into the specifics of Bordeaux here. Now, they've been struggling for a while. You know, I know they won the league title back at the end of the 2000s, but they've not really been challenging for titles for like a decade now, I would say. They were mid-table, then they carried on, faltering. They were ever present as well in France, in the top flight of French football for like since the 1950s, I think, then got relegated recently, got re-promoted, I think, and then obviously were in Ligue 2 last season. And because of the financial problems that have been going on, which they were almost saved from by FSG, who own Liverpool, they wanted to buy the club but decided against it. It's pretty much collapsed now, and all of the players have now been released because obviously they're not a professional football club anymore. So every single footballer at that club has had their contract terminated forcibly. They turned up to work and the bailiffs were there in the training ground. This is crazy stuff. Not a full locker is left in that place. The administrators are the only people that can take a bag to work. But they won't have gone down without a fight. The HMRC guy will have realized he's been locked out of the gaff as they try and delay the inevitable. This is really sad as well because, again, it's a giant of French football. He's a lot of one Ligue 1 or its equivalent 10 times in history. If they were in Italian football, they'd have a star on their crest. You know what I'm saying? This is a big deal. Not only have they won a lot in French football, they've actually produced a lot of good players as well. Most recently, the likes of Jules Koundé, style icon, and Aurélien Tchouameni as well. It's a real sad day for French football, I can't even lie. But Kylian Mbappe, he doesn't care about all this. He's eating food at the funeral after being mistreated by PSG at the end of it all and ditching them for a VIP room at the Bernabeu. But the fact of the matter is, it's not just Bordeaux. You know, that's very sad, and I feel for their fans a lot. It's going to be horrific. You know, they've gone from even being in the 2nd division for Bordeaux is a catastrophic failure. But not even being a professional football club and not even knowing what league you're going to be playing in next season is a completely different story. But this could have been the case for so many other teams in the nation as well. There's a massive crisis going on. And it all begins with the farmification. All right, when PSG's new Qatari owners arrived at the football club, okay, there was like an allotment being grown, okay? There's some fresh fruit on the side, you know, an old granddad who's 87. He doesn't get out of the house anymore, but, you know, he likes to try and stay active even with the hip replacement. He's growing his tomatoes there, okay? It's not farmified fully, but the beginnings are starting to be there. Then suddenly, 4 or 5 years going by, PSG have got Zlatan Ibrahimovic, Edinson Cavani, the OG, I don't know, Marco Verratti era, and suddenly combine harvesters are starting to arrive, okay? It's on a larger scale now. Old Don had to have a 2nd hip replacement. He's not there anymore. It's become a business venture, okay? Then fast forward to 2022, you've got a fucking Brest competing with Neymar, Messi, and Mbappe. That is a fully fledged battery chicken farm, fam. Farmified to the end. They're just squeezing all the margins out of that. I'm back at Brest anytime, okay? But it's not competing with all of that firepower. There were no working conditions at this farm. There were no human rights, let alone animal rights on show. This This has gone on long enough. You've got Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang going to Marseille, yeah, at the age of 42 and slapping it. New signings are going to Lyon and choosing the number 69 voluntarily. This whole league is a joke at this point. The whole division now is in its Paul Konchesky and Jay Spearing era. Because PSG have frankly sucked all of the life out of the entire league and then become dreadful as well. You know, during the time where PSG was spending all their money and obviously, you know, very successful, they won, what, I think they've won 12 out of a possible 14 league titles. The thing is, you can compare it to the Bundesliga, right, where Bayern, their era of 10 in a row just ended only just now against an invincible Bayer Leverkusen team. That was crazy, that was a mad storyline, but you kind of looked at the Bundesliga, and although it's not on the level, I would say, obviously, as the Prem and La Liga, it's still up there because teams that would finish second and third would still do relatively well in European competition. Like Borussia Dortmund, just before that period of Bayern dominance, reached the Champions League final against Bayern. You had some okay European runs for Lyon and Monaco during that time, but Lyon's really, with the squad they had, was against all odds. So the actual overall quality in the rest of the league, I think, has been diminishing now for about 10 years. And I know, look, listen, Manchester City, they're threatening to plant an allotment as well. They've, what, won 6 of the last 7 Premier League titles, with only us as the exception. The chance of it happening there as well, obviously it's been a lot closer in terms of points totals. I don't think you can just look at the actual winners and that's the only story. We've come within 1 point of winning it like twice. Arsenal basically did as well. In France though, it is absolute domination. And the problem is, they've done all that, they've attracted all those big names, and then become so boring, bro. We had Zlatan, we had Cavani, Mbappe, Neymar, Messi. So what? Look at PSG's team now. Do you even want to watch that? They're dominant and their squad is not even that good. I'm simply not getting a TV subscription to watch Gonzalo Ramos. I wouldn't even get a TV license, which I have one of those now. I promise, TV license, man. There's one in the yard. Nobody needs to watch Marco Asensio in 2024, and that's just a fact. PSG have done a lot of damage in terms of their success and also then in their failures as well. Their recruitment has just been shocking in the last 3 years. Born probably out of complacency because their league is so easy to them. They can have a squad like they do now, which isn't really that interesting, but it has still got like undoubted talent. People like Vitinha, Barcola, Ousmane Dembele, Donnarumma, and a 50-year-old Marquinhos. But they didn't even win the Champions League during that time to make the league look a little bit more appealing to potential buyers of a TV deal or contract. And now after the exit of Lionel Messi to America and the exit of Neymar to Saudi Arabia, they've lost their star boy, Kylian Mbappe, the figurehead of all French football that's only gone and strengthened Real Madrid and the Spanish league even more than it already was. Mbappe left and he turned out the lights afterwards. And the French TV rights is the big reason why all of this is happening. I've left you waiting for a while. Ultimately, a lot of clubs in Ligue 1 were on the verge of following Bordeaux, going out of business, becoming bankrupt entirely because no TV deal could actually be found for next season. I believe it was the foreign TV deal. So no one was willing to buy. Now, if you don't know like the basics of footballing economics, there's a decent portion of money that comes from TV rights. It's why the Premier League was able to accelerate away during the Sky Sports era, because there was a lot of money being pumped into Premier League clubs by Sky Sports. It's extremely important for a lot of clubs. When a club gets promoted from the Championship, those TV rights accelerate and increase a lot more. That's why there's a bit of a disparity now between the Prem and the Championship, or why it's getting ever bigger. So if you were to say not have a TV deal at all, a lot of clubs who rely on that, who have budgeted for having, you know, a lot of money, hundreds of millions, even maybe £1 billion come through the door over the course of like 5 years, you take that away, it's not looking good. And that was almost the case here. You know, we almost didn't have a TV deal at all for French football. We were 3 weeks away from games getting shown live on TikTok, mate. They were about to sign a TV agreement with Dave, and the games were only shown live 4 years after they happened. Honestly, it was getting bad. It was really, really bad. They were scrambling, searching for anybody. We could have seen requests for games coming in on Stars TV or something. And it was born from greed as well, because Ligue 1 were holding out for a massive deal from TV companies. At the time, they had Neymar, Messi, and Mbappe in the league, and they knew they had a lot of value. You know, a lot of people would want to watch PSG specifically, not really anyone else. And they knew a lot of people, a lot of fans would want to watch those three, even from outside of France. I mean, just them, nobody else really in Ligue 1. Without, you know, being disrespectful, it was just a fact of the matter. Most people who were tuning in to a Ligue 1 game from outside of Europe, for example, they're not watching Strasbourg versus Montpellier. I'm going to keep it 100. What they were wanting to watch was, again, Neymar, Mbappe, and Messi combining. So they asked for outrageous outrageous money from the likes of Canal Plus, who are a TV channel in France, and also from, I think, beIN Sports as well, who kind of broadcast mostly in the Middle East. Those two companies were like, nah, G, we just gave you a really good deal, but it was turned down. And then when those three proceeded to leave, all the TV companies were like, well, don't want you at all now, because there's simply no reason for us to broadcast this. It's not worth our time. So Ligue 1 dropped their price and dropped their price below even what Canal Plus and beIN Sports had offered them at the time, to the point where now they're earning a fraction of what they could have done if they'd just taken the original deal. And that deal is a 400 million euro package from DAZN, who do, you know, boxing and whatever else, like pay-per-view stuff every now and again. It's the lowest amount that a TV package has been sold for in France for 20 years. So it's still not really up to scratch in comparison to what most clubs were probably budgeting for, and it's still going to leave them in massive financial crisis. So you're going to see a lot of clubs like Lille have, for example, selling someone like Lenny Euro for 50 million, because they're just going to want to get all their young prospects out of there so they can balance the books for what has been left behind, this massive hole in TV revenue. It's a complete mess. I think it was brought about really by a TV package that had been agreed that then fell apart, I think, in 2023. That's why they were sort of scrambling and searching around for a new one, and ultimately why this one is a lot lower, but it's a mess. It's peak. Yeah, French football's done, I'm not gonna lie. Until PSG can actually bring in some very good talent again, you know, because they're kind of getting done over a little bit by the likes of Saudi Arabia, for example. Until PSG have a really exciting squad that can win a Champions League, go far, or just has some real heavy hitters in terms of players, this is gonna be bad news for France, and you're gonna see probably a few other clubs following in the footsteps of Bordeaux. If you're a French football fan, let me know what you think of all of this drama down in the comments section below. It is a pretty scary time, I think, if you support a Ligue 1 side, or certainly anywhere lower down in the ladder. Financial crisis is kind of all over the place, and it's pretty unsettling. But if you did enjoy this video, then of course feel free to slap a like on it. Subscribe if you're new to the channel. Ligue 1, if you want to do a deal where you show the games live on my channel, I can offer you £6.50 a month. Probably. You can also follow me on social media, though. It is at @officialfng on Twitter and on Insta. It's been a pleasure ranting at you guys today. Have a wonderful day. Enjoy yourselves, and goodbye.